Hey everybody, welcome to FabFit Friday. I'm kind of excited today because I spent all last Saturday working on my jeans because once I finished Friday, I was really excited to see if the twist in the leg was what I wanted, and I'm super excited. So I just want to thank Diane and Dorothy for hanging out waiting for me to get going. Of course, I was like way ahead of schedule today. I had everything ready to go, and then I couldn't get my big camera to kick in. So I always seem to have a technical problem when I'm organized. So sorry about that, but I am excited. The first thing I'm going to do, hey Mary, welcome. The first thing I'm going to do is show you how the muslin fits. I made a whole muslin after I fixed the leg, and I also did some fine-tuned fitting, and I'm going to explain what I did there as well. And then I'm going to show you my front pocket and fly and where I am at the moment. Hey, Jeanette, welcome. All right, so I'm going to show you, first of all, I'm wearing it, and the fact that I can wear this muslin, it doesn't have a waistband yet, so the fact that I can wear them and they're comfortable and they don't slide down when I'm sitting tells me I have enough sitting room. So that kind of makes me excited. So what I want to do here is I just want to show you the twist. You're going to notice that the twisted leg is now where I want it. And you can see, I think I'm really happy with the way it's fitting as well. Okay, so there's the back view. There's the side view. There's the front view, and there's the other side view. Like you can really see how the side seam goes to the front in this muslin because the side seam is face out. However, when I do the real deal, the side seam isn't going to be be noticeable because it's just going to be a regular seam sewn in, and it'll blend in with the denim. Oh, Dorothy, don't worry. I love the all caps. And I love the excitement. It's fine. How do I know I am one of 18 watching? How do I know? Oh, I don't know. I think it will tell you how many people are watching. I don't usually pay attention to any of that, but it does keep track of who's watching or how many people are watching, and so on and so forth. But I really appreciate you guys coming. Hey, Polly, welcome. You're at a sewing retreat on Cape Cod. Have to see if I can do two things at once. That's so exciting, a sewing retreat. Oh, that's such a fun time. I used to go on those before I started with myself. So that's a lot of fun. I'm glad you're taking a minute to hang out with us, but don't feel like you have to keep watching because, you know, if you want to get your sewing on, get your sewing on. All right, so I showed you how it fits. I'm just going to show one more time. All right, so again, here's the front. See, I've got room in there. I might take it in a little bit. We'll see how the denim acts. Side view. And if I cuff them up, maybe you can see better. Literally the side seams go right to the middle of my hem, and then the same thing in the back. And I top stitched the back seam down. So I'm really, really happy with the way these fit. Okay, oh, Mary says put contrasting thread on the top stitching that will, on the twisted seam. I'm definitely going to do that, but I'm only going to do that on the back, on the inseam, not the side seam. The side seam I want to blend into the fabric. I don't want it to be as noticeable. Let me just stick my yoga pants back on. Hold on one second. All right, so here's my muslin. Boop. And then what did I do with my yoga pants? Okay. I would keep wearing my muslin except for I want to show you, you know, up close what's going on here. All right. Oh, hey Kay, welcome. And also Diane, thank you. I'm really happy with the fit. And I did do a few more things since I showed it to you before. So let me show you what I did here. Let me just move my this out of the way. Let me move this out of the way for a minute. Oh, I'm just going to unplug my machine for a minute because the cord is stretching. All right, and then let me just show you. I'm going to get my little pieces out. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is what was going on in the back. So I want to show you my back view first. Not that. Okay. So what was happening in the back of my muslin, and I want to kind of explain the difference here. I ended up, first of all, I ended up taking in the back crotch even a little more after I cut it out. You can see here, I actually took it in another almost, you know, a generous 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch through the inseam here. And you'll notice I started maybe 8 inches down to blending into the original seam, and then I went through the crotch down to the other leg. What that did was it helped get rid of extra loose folds near the front crotch curve. So that was the first thing I did. The second thing I did was in the back, after I did that, and this is, you know, what I want you guys to sort of pay attention to when you're doing your own fitting. Now, if you can sit down in your muslin and it doesn't slide off your behind, right? Meaning you have enough room inside to sit, but you feel like you have extra fabric here under your butt. The adjustment for that is literally to pinch it out in a fisheye dart here to test it. Now, I did not do that. I didn't sew in a fisheye dart here, but I took it out of my pattern. And what I want to show you here is, and I do have a video for that on my channel, but basically what I did was I traced this whole upper portion, okay, and if I turn the pattern around, you can see the tracing because it's taped here. So this whole thing was the original top of the pattern. Once I had a traced piece, then I cut the pattern here, and I cut it through here and through here. I made hinges here and here, and I pushed down these pieces. And basically what happened is they overlapped. And if I just show you here, the overlap is quite substantial. You know, it pushes like this. So like, see this triangle here? All of this overlapped when I cut it here and I pushed it down, and I got rid of almost an inch right here. Can you see that? But obviously this adjustment collapses the top. So after I did that, I basically lined up the piece that I traced. I lined it up here and here, and then I taped it back on. And then what I did was I trimmed off, so there was some here, some paper. I trimmed that off because this right here, this is all of the fabric I got rid of. Okay, I'm just going to color it in so you can see. Okay, that's all the fabric I got rid of when I pushed it down. So if I draw a straight line vertically here, right? And then let's say, I'm just going to get a piece of paper. Hold on. I was hoping I'd have a scrap here somewhere that I can use. If not, I'm just going to use a piece of my printer paper just to show you here. So basically, what I want to show you is the original pattern was like this. You know, this was part of the original pattern. I trimmed that off because it's lower here because of this amount I took out right here. So if I had left this base of the curve the way it was, it would have canceled this out. So I trimmed that off, but then once I got to here, I left all of the original shape of the pattern in right up to the top of my center back seam. I left all of this. This is all the original shaping on the pattern. I left all of that, but then I trimmed off the top. So for example, the top went straight across like this, basically, and I trimmed all of this off to give me the dip or curve that was created when I pleated this down. So essentially, I took vertical ease out of the back of my pattern here, but where it shows up in the shape of the pattern is up here. Okay, now I've talked about this many times. People wonder why you just don't dip this down if you know you have too much fabric here. It works, but it doesn't work as well as going to the source or going to the spot where you have the extra and then just truing up the edge after you do that. So that's why I slash and overlap here, and then I kept the shape here. So that's why that works. And when you sew this piece to the yoke, let me just get my yoke here. I have them all pinned together. So I'm going to show you all the other pieces in a minute as well. But basically, when you sew the yoke onto the back leg, this little dip is going to get forced up to the base of the yoke, and it's going to pull all this fabric up with it. Okay, all of this will get pulled up with it when it gets sewn to the yoke, and that's why that works. But what I want you to notice is, you know, doing this here only picks up the fabric, you know, from where it can, meaning it can't pick it up where the, oops, sorry, different pen. I mean, it can't pick it up underneath here. So like this part right here is landlocked to here. So I could scoop all day long up here and pull the fabric up from this line. Let me just put a ruler so you can see. Okay, so if I put this ruler here, I think that'll be a really good way to explain it to you. All of this fabric, all this paper under the ruler has the crotch on top of it. So in order to pick this wedge up, you'd have to scoop the base of the crotch or lower the base of the crotch. And then the rest, because I got rid of it here and I created the dip right up here, that's why that works. And what I want to explain here is this is different than scooping the crotch. I didn't really touch the shape of the crotch. I mean, I did scoop the original crotch to bring it down to here because it dragged down, and I want that benefit of picking up the fabric. But the rest of it is the same. So if you can't sit down, meaning you need a deeper hole to sit in, then this is not going to be the thing to do. You're going to have to create a bigger hole to sit in, you know, scoop the base of your crotch. But if it works out that you don't need more room to sit, this is how you can get rid of a little bit under your butt. So that's what I did in the back, and it picked up the whole back leg and made everything hang nicer. So that's what I did in the back. In the front, I didn't really do anything new new fitting wise in the front. I'm going to have to trim off that little bit more that I took in. That isn't reflected here yet. These are the original ones I took off when I cut out the pattern. And notice I taped them to my pattern pieces. That's so I can remember what I did. Hey, Linda Lee, welcome. It's 60 degrees in California. Whew. Well, we're finally getting some cold here too. It's in the 30s here and it's very windy. My workout partner actually texted me and said it was too cold for him to go outside and hike. So I had to have a talk with him about layers and how to dress in the winter to go hiking, because I told him that we were not going to take the winter off. So, and then I made him do 15 minutes extra on the top hill on the treadmill. So I think he'll be more excited to hike next week, even if it's cold, but I did explain to him how to get dressed. All right, so see, this is the, I'm just going to put here, removed from crotch inseam. All right, so sometimes if you cut a piece off, if you tape it on, that will help you remember what you did. All right, so I taped what I cut off that front, and I also taped what I cut off the back here to help me remember. So then you'll notice, the other thing you'll notice here is I designed my front pocket opening, and basically to do that, you know, before I cut the front pocket opening, it kind of looked like this, right? So my front leg looked like that, and then I created the pieces. So I do want to show you how to do that really quickly. I know I've showed it a few times before, but I'm just going to print out a leg here. Let me see. I just want to print out, I'm just going to print a front leg because I just want to show you how you can design a front pocket. So we're just going to print out this one page, and then I'm going to show you, instead of trying to do it on this life-size piece. Let me just move this out of the way. All right, and then after I show you that, I'm going to show you how the jeans are now. I've already sewn the front fly and the front pockets. Well, part of the front fly. All right, so I just want to give you a quick tutorial on how to design a front pocket opening, because if you're working with your own pattern, and let's say you design your own jeans or pants pattern, then you may want to, you know, create the front pocket piece. So the design that I did for the jeans that I'm gonna make currently, it's a pretty rounded scoop. So I'm going to show you how to do more of a traditional front pocket opening here, and then I'm just going to show you how to develop the pieces. So the first thing you want to do is, if the seam allowances are already included, you want to make a note of those, because the front pocket, I mean, the seam allowances are not going to be, you know, real estate in your design, meaning you need to know your seam allowances because that will affect where you put things. So I'm just marking my seam allowance, you know, down the side seam and across the top. So then the next thing is we want to decide the front pocket opening. Let me just use a different color for that. Use red. So I'm just going to go ahead and sort of dash in the shape of the front pocket I want. Let's say I want something that looks like that. All right, so I'm just going to darken it in. Okay, and it can really be any shape you want, which is the nice thing. So we've got the front pocket opening. I'm going to continue my line straight through my seam allowance here, because the other thing I'm going to do, or the next thing I'm going to do, is I'm going to decide how deep of a pocket bag I want. Now, if I'm going to put my cell phone in it, so let's just say I'm going to just dash in the shape of a cell phone. Like, let's say this is my thing that I want to put in the pocket, then you need to have a pocket bag that's deep enough to accommodate that. So what you want to do is you want to kind of decide where the bottom of the bag, pocket bag, is going to be, and then you want to curve up into the zipper area like this. All right, so see what I'm doing? It's a base of a pocket bag, and then it's hitting where, this is going to be really where the zipper seam allowance is, and actually it might be a little bit higher, but basically there's my zipper seam allowance. You just draw that in. Okay, so you want to connect the bottom of the pocket bag to here, and this is going to make another layer going across your jeans, and it can act as a tummy control panel. That's why I like having it sewn into the fly and sewn into the center, the side seam. So once you've designed that, that's really going to be the majority of your shapes. I added some ease to put my hand inside the pocket. So the way you do that is you draw yourself a 1/4 inch past the edge of the pattern, and then you blend to 0 at the base of the pocket bag. So it looks something like this. Okay, so this is this whole red thing that I just drew for you, and I'm going to come up here and I'm going to come over here. This is the front pocket facing piece. Okay, and this red line right here that I added, that's going to also be your pants, or your jeans is going to go out that far too. So the new side seam comes from the original side seam, and then it continues out that 1/4 inch to the front pocket opening. Okay, so that's how you develop the front pocket facing to finish the hole or the front pocket opening. Now, if you like this amount of opening, then you also have to add a seam allowance to it. So basically, if I want this to be the size of my opening, I need to add a seam allowance. So I'm going to go ahead and add my 3/8 inch seam allowance like this. All right, so there's that piece has been drafted. And the cool thing is, oh, Linda had to go to a doctor's appointment. I hope everything's okay, Linda Lee. All right, so this red is the front pocket facing. Okay, that's the red. All right, the next thing is we need to create the pocket bag, the back of the pocket. That's going to be the original side seam. So I'm not going on that extra all the way up to the top, all the way across. It's going to mirror what I did at the bottom, and it's going to extend to here. So this silver is pocket bag. Okay, and then you need one other piece, and I'll make that blue. You need something to protect the view in your front pocket opening. So I like to go out 2 inches from the edge of the front pocket and create a, I call it fashion fabric facing, and that mimics the shape of your front pocket opening, and it sews right into the corner of the pocket bag like this. So blue is the fashion fabric facing. And those are the 3 pieces that you need for a traditional jeans pocket. I did create another piece, and that was the coin pocket that I added to one side. So there is a coin pocket, and the coin pocket basically looks like this. It basically just goes like this. It fits like this. Okay, so, and it's in there. So I'm going to show you all these pieces, and I'm going to show you what my real pieces look like. Then I'm going to show you my real pockets. I'm going to show you how I've gotten on the fly, and then I'm going to show you the fly top stitching. Mary said earlier to use contrasting thread. So I decided I was going to use black thread for my top stitching on my gray fabric. So I do have that to show you in a minute. All right, so let's look at this. You can see here, you can see all of the lines that I just showed you are on this pattern piece now. Notice this little area right here that I'm going to color in silver. That's my extra for the ease to get into the front pocket. And you can see here I did more of a, it's a little bit more curvy than normal or than traditional. And here is my front pocket facing. See, it just goes right on like that. And then the back of the pocket, the facing, fashion fabric facing goes right here. And I'm just gonna pin it on. So I clean finished with the serger the edges of this before I sewed it together. And it just goes right on like this. Okay. And then the little, the little coin pocket goes on too, but it only goes on one side. I'll show you that when I'll show you that when I show you my jeans. But basically that goes like that. And then when you sew it together, you first sew here, right? And then you flip it to the underside after you understitch, and it goes back like this, right? I'm just going to pin that there. So we'll pretend that we sewed it. Then this piece gets attached here. But what happens with this is you line it up center front like this. But see, what's happening is this is extending past the pocket bag. So when you go to baste it together, you basically push this little edge in like this, and that creates just a little bit of room to put your hand in. So see how it just makes a little bit of space? Now it looks like it's bunched up, but when it's curved around your body, you can see it doesn't stick out when it's around the curve of your body. And then to sew this, you just match up the bottom ends of the pocket bag from the inside, and I just sewed that with the serger, right? And then I just sewed it here, here, and here. So that's how I did the front pocket. So let me show you those pieces already constructed. So I'm hoping this is giving you some ideas for front pocket openings for yourself if you're working along with me here. Okay, these are my fly pieces. Did I lose my other little fly piece? Here it is. All right, these little pieces can get lost really easily, so I'm just gonna go ahead and pin them all back together so nothing gets lost. All right. So now let me show you the front of my gray jeans. Oh, thanks, Escaped Hen Mom. I realized that if I didn't get some of the work done off camera, we would be doing jeans sew along for an entire 12 months because it would take a long time to sew a pair of jeans. So I've been working on them, and I'm just going to blast out the camera here. Sorry. There, I just want to make it a little bit brighter than normal, just to show you. Here is the top stitching on my front pocket, and you can see, instead of doing the traditional 2 rows of stitching right even with each other, I went off and I did curves on either side. Okay, so this is an example of, not using top stitching to add character to your jeans. So you can see that I did that there. Here's my coin pocket. Okay, and you'll notice when I top stitched this, this is my signature back pocket where I come out and back. It's on both sides, see? All right, so that's what the front pocket, coin pocket looks like. If you want to add that. Oh yes, it's making it your own. This is my whole point. Like, if you're making your own jeans, then make top stitching you like. Now the other thing I did here, let me turn this inside out so you can see, or upside down. The fly is not finished yet. And actually I'm a little sad because my end of my zipper is sticking out of the bottom a little bit right here, but I'm just going to have to live with that. The zipper itself was like a skosh too long, and it was so close, I'm not going to cut that off. I mean, I guess I could, but I decided to just leave it. So I will trim these shorter later, but I want you to notice that I made a wider fly piece. This is double folded, and I sewed the layers together. And then here's the single skinnier left side fly piece. The right fly piece is a 1/4 inch longer, so it hides the left one when it's closed. All right. And then the other thing I wanted to tell you about that is I made it, I think 6 inches. So see, that's 3 inches. Oh, I can pull this paper off. Oh. This is 3 inches. And the reason why I made this 3 inches wide is because, you know, this is also 3 inches wide, say almost. The reason why I did that is because the next steps here, after getting the zipper sewn in like this, is to design the fly detail. I want to make my fly top stitching a little bit wider than my traditional 1 1/4. So that's why I made these fly pieces wider, and I made all of my seam allowances 3/4 of an inch so I can do wider top stitching, and that's why I did wider top stitching here. Your top stitching has to be supported by all the layers. So if you're going to do wide top stitching, you need wide seam allowances, and if you want to do a wider front fly, you know, top stitching to make your fly, if you want it to be a little bit wider, then you need wider pieces for your, you know, your fly, your right and left fly pieces. I hope that makes sense. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to top stitch my fly, and we all know that we do not want to hit that metal part. So I'm going to take this piece, and notice I didn't sew the bottom like couple inches of the right fly piece to the zipper because I want to fold it out of the way like this. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a pin here, okay, to keep that out of the way. And then I'm also going to turn it back around, and I'm going to close this like this, and I'm going to feel for where the hard part of the zipper is, because we do not want to hit that piece of that bottom stop. It will kill my needle. So I'm going to go ahead and use a piece of chalk to mark that area in there. So it's like right here. Somewhere right there is where that metal is. I do not want to hit that. Oh, Dorothy is asking me about my signature top stitching. Let me show you. Oh, I can just show you on this paper over here. All right, so this is how I almost always do my top stitching. Ooh, that's a little bright. Let me take that down a little bit. So if this is my pocket, okay, I always, not always, but I like to come down near the edge, come across, come back up, and then I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches, and then I curve back in and go an equal amount, you know, around, and then I sort of mirror that shape. It's almost like I make little horseshoe curves here. So that's what I mean by it. And I'll do that on the back pockets next FabFit Friday, so you'll see it because it will mirror this exact shape when I do it on the back pockets. But I thought that also made a nice, you know, because I've got this going like this here, then these are going like that down there. So I just feel like I have a lot of nice little curvy things going on. Oh, the other thing that I did not show you before I get going with designing or top stitching my fly is I put some whiskers in here. So I didn't add to the pattern, and actually I started this one in a little bit from the actual edge. But basically all I did was just sew pin tucks at just random lengths here. And I've done this on my jeans before, like on a different pair. And what ends up happening is after a while the stitching starts to come undone, and then you've got sort of distressed whisker, you know, from all the washing and drying. So I did put some whiskers there, and I think I'm going to put another set of these on the back leg where right behind my knee, just for another different kind of thing to do. So these are my little pin tuck whiskers, and it's literally just doing this and sewing close to the edge for as long as you want, just very, very tiny amount. I'm barely taking anything out of the length of my side seam there. So that was the other thing I did that's different from just a plain pair of jeans. And actually looking at it now, I mean, I think this will be fine, but also I might have wanted to tip them down a little bit and instead of having them almost be pointing up. But I'm going to leave it and see what it does. If I don't like it, I can always take it out, but that's the other thing I did there. All right, so now I've got the hard part of what I don't want to hit, but the other thing is I do want to hit the base of the fly piece with my top stitching. So I almost think I'm going to have to go through the zipper. Oh, wait a minute. You know, I think I'm going to go under here and come around and catch the fly piece. I'm going to just draw for you what I'm talking about here. Let me just get this to lay right. And then I'm going to feel for the dip. All right, so this is the edge of my, excuse me. Okay, so this is the whole thing right here. It's right here. All right, so this little rectangle that I just drew, that's where this is. Okay, now I don't want to hit this, and if I can help it, this is a number 5 YKK jean zipper, and this is really thick denim. And you can see as I'm busy showing you this, I'm not ready to do the step I was just going to show you. Actually, I got so excited to show you how to do the top stitching, I didn't sew this side of the zipper down yet. So I'm going to back up and show you that first, actually. So this should be sewn onto here before I go to the top stitching. So basically all I've done so far is I sewed the zipper on, then I sewed this on, then I sewed the left fly piece on and edge stitched. The next step is to sew the zipper, this side of the zipper, onto this fly piece here. And the way to do that that's very easy is I'm going to pin, well, no, I'm not, because I don't want to catch that. Well, for now, I'm just going to pin it to here to hold it. So see what I did? I pinned the top of the zipper so it will lay straight here. I just put a pin here. Then I'm going to use my friend, the Wonder Tape, and I'm going to take a piece of Wonder Tape and I'm literally going to put it on my zipper twill tape like this, all the way up. Okay, and then I'm going to be mean to it with my nail, meaning I'm going to grind it into the twill tape with my nail, like that. All right, and then I'm going to hopefully peel off the paper. I noticed like the Wonder Tape is not as wonderful as it used to be. They changed the formulation of it and it just doesn't work as well. But basically, if you're mean to it, you can get the paper, the protective paper, to separate from the tape like that. Okay, so you can see now I've got my tape there, and actually my pin came out, so let me just, what happened to my pin? Just pin this back. Okay, and all I'm doing is using this right fly piece that's underneath here to hold the top of the zipper straight. Then I'm going to take this and I'm just going to line everything up, and I'm going to press the zipper. See? So see how now it knows where it needs to sew? So once I do that, I'm going to make sure it's straight up at the top, and then I'm going to unpin it because we want to just sew here now. And I want to make sure this stays straight. So actually, oops. Let me just put that back. I want to make sure this stays straight. So I'm just gonna put one pin at the very edge right here. Okay, just to hold that nice and straight. And now we're gonna sew. And speaking of top stitching thread, you can see I'm using black thread. Well, I didn't have any black top stitching thread, and I didn't want to wait for me to order it. And then, you know, so because I really wanted to work on it on Saturday. So I used 2 strands of Mara 100 thread. And the 2 strands does a pretty good job of looking like top stitching. And I've got both of the strands in there now, and I'm just going to use both strands to sew the zipper. But basically, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put it under the machine here. And you can see all I'm doing is sewing the twill tape onto the left fly piece. I'm sewing near the edge. That's going to allow me to make sure this is straight. I don't want that to wiggle out. Okay, and then I'm going to sew it one more time closer. The cool thing is I don't have to worry about getting right near the teeth, but I'm going to sew kind of in the middle of the twill tape now. Okay. All right, so now we have a zipper that's actually sewn all the way. So see the difference now? And this Wonder Tape, I can pull it off, but it'll also wash off. It's washable. So since I had that big piece there, I just pulled it. But basically when I throw this in the wash, that will wash away. But what I want to show you now is I have a beautiful zipper, and you can't really tell where, you know, where the opening stops and the seam starts. Okay, so that would be all sewn in. Now we can go back to what I was doing over here. Let me just darken this one more time. This is what I want to avoid, but this I want to catch. So this is the bottom corner of my left fly. I want to get right on there ASAP. So what I'm going to do is, let's turn this back around. I'm going to fold this up and out of the way again. This is the right piece. I do not want to catch that in my stitching. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over here, and we're going to do some more top stitching. Okay, and I'm going to stitch really close to the folded edge, and I'm going to make my stitch length like 4.5 millimeters. And I feel like and I'm just going to go really slow. And I don't want to catch this little catch right here. So I'm literally going to stitch up past it. And I'm going to go past it till I get to the base of the fly. And then when I get onto the actual fly, I'm going to turn myself around. Now here's where I'm going to be going through those metal teeth. So I'm literally hand walking my machine. I'm literally using the hand wheel on my machine over here. See my hand? Oh, can you see my hand? So this right here, my hand, I'm using the hand wheel. I'm not using the foot control because I am stitching through those teeth. And if you go slow, the needle will find its way through. I think. Ugh, I might have to. Maybe not there. I'm going to just advance it just a little bit. Ooh. Trying to find a spot for it to go down. Okay, I'm going to advance it a little bit more. Ugh. All right, I got to be past it now. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, something bad happened. Oh no, those are my two things. Hold on. Let me pull back these threads. I'm gonna just skip over that a little bit more. And okay, so now I'm past the zipper and I've probably gone about 5 stitches. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm literally going to come down. Oops. Oops. Sorry about that. I'm trying to not put this down. All right. So now I'm gonna come down and I'm curving inward. And then when I get past, I probably should have gone out one more. I'm just trying to find a, okay. All right, might have to fix that, but basically I'm just stitching right back down. Let me see what happened here. All right, so I was trying to go up and around that, zipper, and I did get one little bobble there. I might fix it, but basically that's giving me, you know, top stitching the seam allowance down, and it's also catching, you know, the area in there. So what I want to do now that that is sewn is we're going to design the front fly. And before we do that, I'm going to give it a nice press to keep everything nice and flat. So I'm going to lay this nice and flat like this. And I'm going to give it some steam. And if you guys miss my cool tools where I showed the my new clapper by Modern American Vintage. Oh my goodness, luxury. So I'm using that to trap the heat. Instead of leaving the iron on it, I'm going to press down with this, and it's going to give me a really nice crease in my fly. See how nice and crisp that is now? And that's going to allow me to draw my fly detail. And I want it to be a little bit different. That is a beautiful clapper. Modern American Vintage, I'll put a link to them in the description when I get off. He does beautiful work. Chris Hansen. It's a young family owned business, and this is a rather plain one. He has other ones that have quilting blocks or different stripes or different other things made into it, but it's two pieces of different hardwoods that are put together. And here's another thing about this clapper. It's heavy. He weights them, so it makes it really nice to work with. So what I want to do here is I'm going to have my fly at the top be 2.5 inches. Oh, maybe two inches. So here. And then down here, I'm going to have it be 1.25 inches. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up and we're going to go on an angle like this. So see, I'm doing a little bit of a different style fly stitching. So it's going to be narrower here, and actually it's going to be like this, probably. Like that. So I'm doing a little bit of a different kind of fly detail. So it'll be wider here, narrower down here. So now I'm going to do that. And again, I want to make sure that my left fly piece stays put. So I'm going to put some pins in here to make sure I'm catching it. Okay. And remember, this piece is folded out of the way. We don't want to catch that down here. All right. So let me just move my pressing thing out of the way. And I'm going to start here. Now you might be wondering why I'm starting here. I'm starting here because if you start here and go down, a lot of times you can push the fabric past center and it looks yucky. So I always like to work away from the vertical seam. So we're just gonna start stitching. And I'm gonna back tack just to secure that. And then I'm literally gonna stitch around. And because I know I'm really far away from that zipper, I don't have to worry now. Now notice, every time the needle goes up and down, I am turning to get a nice shape. And if I fall a little bit off my line, I'm not going to cry about it. The whole idea is I want it to be nice and smooth. So see, I went a little bit wide, but I don't care. As long as I'm on the left fly piece, it does not matter. All right. So here's what my fly looks like now. All right. And what I'm going to do here is I am going to do a second row of stitching. And I'm going to do it so it's 1/2 inch away at the top. And then as it gets closer, it'll blend into and then sort of blend into like this. Now this time I'm going to start up at the top. So basically this one is going to be And I'm basically just going to follow this straight down until I join my original curve like this. So this is just a different, and I want to be like right on top of my original stitching here, like that. And then once I know I'm on it, I'm just going to back tack a couple stitches. So see, it kind of just makes like a little, I don't know if I love that right there. I might fix that, but I just wanted to try something a little bit different. I might have to fine tune that a little bit. I think I'm going to take that out and just make it look a little bit nicer there. But overall, I'm really happy with, you know, just something a little bit different. Let's take a better look at it. I'm just going to rub my, you'll see, it's just something a little bit different. I think I will fix this curve and make it mirror this curve a little bit closer. I'm going to do that later. But basically, the last step, once I fix that top stitching, is to put this back and sew these layers together here, so it stays shut in the, on the inside. And then that will be the complete inside. And I will trim off, well, I'll see about what I'm going to do about this. I'm a little annoyed that that's sticking out, but my zipper was a little long, and only I will know that's there. And of course, all of you. So that takes care of the front, basically, except for where I want to fix that little doohickey right in there. But you can see it's just a little bit of a different thing. Oh, I know. Mary's like, if anyone's looking that close there, then they shouldn't be looking. But I'll know, and I don't like that. Like, there's certain things that, you know, I'm not a precise sewer a lot of the time. Like, I literally just, but if it doesn't look good, then, or if it should be straight, well, then I have to fix it. So this I am going to rework with. So I'm not going to do the last step back here until I get that. But what I want to show you here is, remember I said to you that it's really important that you top stitch through 2 layers. And so I want to just zoom right in here to show you why that is necessary. I don't know if you can see it in the camera. I can definitely see it in person. This row of stitching looks nice and straight. This row of stitching looks a little bit wonky. Okay, and the reason why it's wonky is because it's not supported by the seam allowances. That's the one place I forgot to make my seam allowances 3/4 of an inch so I could have wide top stitching in the crotch seam. So here, because this is not on the through the seam allowances, it's a little bit wonky. I think you can see it, that it's wonky compared to the straighter line of stitching. So top stitching really needs to be supported by all the layers, both seam allowances and the outside of the fabric. So anyway, like I said, I am gonna fix this right here later, but for now that's gonna be the end of my working on the front, because what I want to show you now is, I just want to show you how to do the back legs, and specifically, oh God, you know what I just realized? I had cut out the little, oh, phew, here they are. Found them, never mind. I thought I lost my yoke pieces. All right, so just to finish up today, I just want to show you, give you some tips for sewing a really nice pretend or faux flat felled seam in the back. And somebody commented on my video where I showed how, and actually it was the video where I demoed how to use this clapper. I showed how to do a faux flat felled seam on a back yoke piece, and somebody commented that you know, she was happy that she learned how to do a real flap felled seam because she felt like this faux flap felled seam was not as strong. So what I want to say about that is it's I think it's wonderful if you want to sew a real flap felled seam. That is not wrong, but also this is strong too. Like I have done my flap felled seams this way forever and I've never had them come apart. So you can either do a real flat felled seam or you can do one the way I'm going to show you here. Either way is wonderful. But again, if you do it this way, you're going to see, you're not going to find that it's not strong enough. All right, so this is another opportunity to look at my fitting. So see how it's dipping down there? We're going to force this up, okay, and it's going to pull up all the fabric below it. All right, and I'm going to start by pinning this so we can stitch wrong sides together. That's the first step. And I gave myself a generous inch seam allowance here because this is heavy denim, and I want to do a nice flat felled seam or a faux flat felled seam, so I'm going to pin them together. Now you'll notice, depending on your shape, and I don't have a real curvy shape, so it's not really super noticeable for me, but if you've got, you know, if you're really fitted through the waist, or if your waist is significantly smaller, it's okay for the bottom of the yoke to stick out over here past the jeans. You just want to make sure it matches where you're going to sew it an inch down. So basically, I'm going to line up all of these edges so I sew them together accurately, like this. And then the other thing I think I'm going to do, just because I want it to be really accurate, is I'm going to just give myself some inch guidelines here. I'm not going to draw a solid line, but I do want to make sure I'm being accurate. And I'm going to sew just inside my chalk because my chalk line is right past the inch. All right, that will give me a guideline. So the first step here is we're going to stitch. Now I'm going to stitch this first seam. This is important, and this is kind of a tip for getting a really nice flat felled seam without any extra stitching. I am going to set my stitch length on 5 as long as I can get it, because I'm only basting this together right now. This is important. So I'm just going to start stitching, and I'm not going to back tack because remember I'm basting, and I'm stitching just inside my chalk lines. And I'm making sure that the back leg is all the way up to the top of the back yoke, so I take full advantage of that fit adjustment I did. And I'm still using my double thread. It's not going to hurt anything. All right, so I just basted, and because I'm basting, I'm not going to use my automatic cutter either. I'm going to leave myself a tail. All right, now let's get the pressing thing back up here. And what I'm going to do now is I am going to first press this open like this. Just going to give it some steam. Okay. Then, with it pressed open, I am neatly going to cut this lower seam allowance down to about 1/4 of an inch. Now to me, that just removes bulk. Whoops. You'll see I just cut it to 1/4 inch. Then I'm gonna press the whole thing down like this. I'm gonna give it some good steam. And then I'm gonna use my clapper just to trap that heat in. This is a perfect size clapper for, I think, for doing garments. I love this long, skinny clapper. Then I'm going to press the top layer down so that it's encasing or just covering the cut edge of the shorter lower layer that I trimmed. Like this. And again, we're gonna use the clapper. Oh, actually, let me make sure it's even before I, just giving it a visual. Like this, and I'm just gonna let the clapper do its work. And then I think I'm gonna just steam this bottom a little bit. This end over here, I want to make sure it's the same. So let me just catch the end there. Okay, then I'm going to flip the whole thing over and I'm going to steam it again. And again, I'm going to put that clapper down until I get a nice crisp edge or crisp fold. Okay. So now, here's why I basted the first seam. You can see it right here, right? That's the seam that I used to sew it together. I don't want that seam to stay because I want to top stitch both ends. So I'm just going to put some pins, probably just 3 pins, into the folded edge here just to hold it for me, like this. And remember, I wanted wider top stitching. That's why I have wider seam allowances. You could do this with seam allowances as well. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my stitch length at 4.5, and I'm going to stitch really close to the bottom fold here. Oh, of course, I came unthreaded. Are they both unthreaded? Oh, they both came unthreaded. Ugh. All right, so let me see if I can thread these back up without a large harangue. Okay, so I'm gonna thread one. I wonder, no, I think I'd be kind of, I don't think I can do them both in one shot. Where's my thread conditioner? Maybe if I condition it with the thread conditioner, I can get away with doing both. Let's try that. I'm gonna condition my thread with my thread conditioner. And maybe it will. Ooh, let's see. I'm going to give that a clip. And let me see if it's conditioned, if I can do it all in one. I think I did. All right, thread conditioner to the rescue. So see how I was able to thread two threads in one using my thread conditioner. I love this stuff. I did it as a cool tool. It really helps with things like this. So yay to that. All right, now I am going to stitch this lower fold, and I'm going to back tack at the, right at the side seam allowance, and I'm just going to stitch right along the fold like this. Oh my goodness, and I fell off my wagon. All right. All right, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm breaking my own rule of not using the right presser foot, so I'm going to show you this handy dandy thing. In the hole I got, I'm just going to run, if I take the cover off, I'm just going to run this right through, and then I'm just going to run it right through. See how easy I can take this top stitching out? Literally, it took me less time to take it out than it took me to sew it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my presser foot, because I was trying to get away with using my zipper foot for everything, and obviously that did not work. So let me just quickly change this. All right, and if anybody wants to know what my top stocking stuffers are, I have a new cool tool that I'm going to share with you on Monday that would make a good stocking stuffer, and then I'm also going to share my top 5 or so top notions that I've shared with you throughout the year on Monday. So if anybody's looking for good stocking stuffers or for things for people on your sewer gift list, I will have some good ideas for you. On Monday. All right, so I'm just gonna put this on. This is my straight stitch walking foot, and you'll see how much easier and better I can sew with this on. Did I put the right foot in there? I did. Okay. Can I do more? No. It is my... Well, that's weird. I don't know why it's doing that, but all right. Wait a minute. I'm going to shut my machine off for a second. Hold on. I think it's having a brain. I want to see if my... No, how come the needle is not going to the center? I put the... That is the plate. Isn't it? Oh, no, I took the wrong... All right, that's the wrong plate. See how my needle is not in the center? Okay, Mary, that's a fine way to do it. You can definitely do it that way. There. Now I've got it in the middle. All right. I mean, I would be done with this by now if I wasn't taking the time to really show you. So this is pretty quick. A pretty quick way to do it, had I not screwed it up the first time. All right, so... All right, so again, I am just going to stitch really close to the edge here, and now I can see what I'm doing, so I won't be stitching off the folded edge. And I'm just going to stitch. See, it really makes a difference if you use the right presser foot for what you're trying to do. See, because now I can see where I'm sewing. All right. I always bite myself when I decide to try to skip a step, like changing my presser foot. Okay, so you can see that that is a very nice seam, right? Then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to stitch on top. All right, so now here's what I wanted to show you. I have this lovely wide top stitching, right? And the other thing I have is my basting, which I should be able to just pull that out. Okay, and then what that does is it gets rid of that extra row of stitching that you don't need. And I should be able to pull it out. Let me see if I can. Well, the denim might be too thick, but if I keep breaking it and just picking it. So just use your biggest stitch and then use your seam ripper or your small scissors to pick out that top stitching. See if I can get it from the side. Okay. And then you don't have that extra row of stitching. So that's why I like to baste this. And it might take a minute to get out because the denim is so thick, but once you get it out, it looks much more professional, meaning you don't see where you sewed the yoke onto the back leg. So actually what would help in this situation is if you used a contrasting color so you could actually see the stitches and they'd be even easier to pick out. But see, once you start picking at them, they'll come out. See? Another thing that's super helpful is if you have your little tweezers handy, then you can pick the threads out much easier as well. So basically, I think, let me see, I'm going to show you, it only takes a second to get this out. I'm pulling the needle thread through, but you know, and if you start picking it out and then you just end up with a few little pieces left, the rest will fall out in the wash too. But basically, I just wanted to show you that you can get rid of that stitching, and then you're just really left with just the two rows. See, isn't that nice? So that's how I'm going to do my top stitching on my yoke. But see, it makes a very strong, nice seam, and it's a little bit easier for sewing machines to handle because you got rid of some of the bulk inside there. So that's how I do my flat felled seams. So that's reaching my goal of what I wanted to get done today. I'll do the other leg, you know, obviously off camera. So next week I'm going to show you how to design back pockets. Also, I will have sewn the jeans together and I'll show you how they fit up to the point of having the back pockets on. So that's what I'll be doing, you know, during the week this week And then also, for next week, we'll see what's happening. But in any case, I just want to thank everybody for hanging out with me. This was super fun today. I'm really enjoying working on these jeans. And if you're commenting, for some reason, I lost my, I can see me and I can see I'm still live, but I've lost my chat box. I don't know where it went. So in any case, I'm going to say goodbye. Really exciting. My granddaughter's dance recital is tonight, so that's what I'm going to go see that. I'm super excited to see that. That's always a lot of cuteness. And yeah, so I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. And if you're working on jeans, please let me know. If you have questions, if you're working on things and you have things that are coming up, let me know. I'll help you. You can post pictures of what you're working on either in my Discord channel or over in my Facebook group. And starting in January, I'm going to start doing a live over at my Discord channel. So if you haven't joined my Discord yet, consider joining me there because I'm going to start activating that in January. It's going to be super exciting. So thank you guys so much for joining me today, and I will see you, I'll see you next Friday. All right. Bye.